I haven't filmed a whole lot recently, and what I have filmed, I haven't bothered uploading. But I did want to film a bit of an update. It is late spring. We just got a much needed rain. May was quite dry, so some early June rain is very much appreciated. I'm standing down here just below the spring, and this is where a few of the apples are. Probably hard to recognize from last time that I uploaded pictures or videos from here. This one right in front of me is the Gala, or Gala. Heck, even Gala if you want. Got a, I don't know, sea berry? Buffalo berry? I didn't label them. I started both from seed last year, and they look pretty similar. Something in the Elaeagnus family. Chilling there. A little bit farther north and a little bit farther down slope. We've got some seedling apples. Chugging right along. There's also an Elaeag of some kind down there. And then same story down the swale there. It is pretty incredible how much things have filled in. I mean, largely with fireweed, but there's a lot of other stuff growing in here too. The Arkansas Black is behind that bunch of fireweed over there. Can walk over and see it. So here's the Arkansas Black. Actually growing quite well. It's got a lot of new growth on it this year. I'm letting them grow for a little while before I try to shape them. They didn't grow a whole lot last year, getting established for the first time. And it was quite a dry summer as well. So jumping just a little bit further upslope, that's the Arkansas Black down there. We've got a new addition. So this one, I'm real excited about. So this is Antonovka rootstock. And then it's my first attempt at grafting. And this is a variety called Black Strawberry, which is going to be part of my breeding program. This one was developed by Stephen Edholm, just outside Ukiah in Northern California. And it comes from the line of Albert Etter apples. So that's pretty cool to have. I'm excited to try these apples, and I'm even more excited to see what we can get by continuing to just mix and match interesting genetics. And on the note of interesting genetics, this is a pear that I started from seed this year, displaying some just beautiful purple-red coloration. Really excited to grow that one out and see what becomes of it. I've got two more Antonovka apples here. This one, the graft was really shoddy. It didn't take at all. This one was fairly shoddy and took really late. So I had already, determined to let this one grow out. But now, just this week, first week of June, the graft finally budded out. I'm going to go ahead and leave all of this on here for now, just to let the roots store some energy up and get some growth in there. And then I can prune it back either later in the summer or when it's dormant. More Elaeagnus family. These ones are Gumi, which I was having a surprisingly hard time finding last year. I finally found some at a local nursery this year, although I already had the seedlings going. So instead of buying a big, expensive $50 Gumi, I'm just going to go with these seedlings and see how they do, and then maybe pick up a named variety Gumi later. Oh yeah, I even labeled one. I gotta get better about that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep growing these out from seed as well, especially if they do well here. And might try to develop like a landrace at the very least, if not some interesting genetics. Pears from seed. A rodent got a lot of my pear seedlings, so if you see some of these are, you know, super dwarfed, it's because they got the tops eaten off. I'm gonna let them grow out, you know, it's fine. That's another one with really interesting coloration, but also was nabbed by a rodent. And then I started a whole bunch of black locust from seed this year. Probably at least 100. I don't know how many will survive, but I'm basically, you know, I started them out in seedling cells up to a smaller pot, up to a roughly gallon industry standard gallon pots. And then from here, they've been going into the ground. Some of the small ones have even gone into the ground. And then I might keep some in pots just to kind of hedge my bets kind of thing. But I think that they will do well, at least in the semi-dry places on the property. This is what the spring looks like now. Pretty incredible. Got maples shooting back there. You know, more than 6 feet of growth last year. And then all of the stuff that I planted is in amongst those, but still pretty small. Well, except for except for this golden currant right here. That's not particularly small. That's the one of the first 3 that I planted. And then actually here, right next to those Antonovkas, in the ground, is one of the golden currants that I started from seed. None of the early crops did well this year as far as like production. So currants, honeyberry, even the wild strawberries, none of them did a whole lot. The golden currants, they like barely flowered, and I didn't see any berries on them. My black currants have like a couple berries. The wild strawberries, tons of unpollinated flowers. I was seeing a lot of people asking, you know, where are the pollinators this year? So, seems to have been a common issue. Bit of a bummer. I do hear a bumblebee buzzing around behind me right now, though. And my named variety strawberries do seem to be getting pollinated. They are June bearing, so they're just getting going now. This willow's a little bit strung out from the storm last night, but lots of good, healthy growth there. I don't know if I've done a lot of continuous shots like this. I don't remember, but there's a pair over here. I'm eventually going to put more of those pear seedlings in along swales over here. and hope that they can survive. You can look down slope here. It's another maple right there. Lots of thimbleberry everywhere. Excited about that because those were spending their energy regrowing last year and were not flowering. And they did flower this year, looking to get some fruit. Actually, same story with the service berries, or sarvis berries, or June berries, whatever the hell you want to call them. Nice to see berries on them, though, and it was very nice to see their incredibly showy flowers earlier. Not sure if I got any footage of that. If I did, I'll maybe piece it in here. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just be an awkward cut to something else. I did want to highlight failures as well. This is one of the kiwi berries. Actinidia arguta, I believe they are. And they just have not seemed particularly happy ever since I put them in. You know, they didn't do a whole lot, you know, that first fall. They didn't do much of anything last year. I was hoping they were just kind of getting roots established or something. And yeah, just very late budding out this year, and they didn't put much out. And you can see now they are just, I don't know, it looks like they have like some kind of blight or something. I could look it up and I don't know. I don't care all that much. It would be really nice to have them, but the whole point of this kind of development is just to get stuff that wants to grow here. So I don't want plants that I'm going to have to baby and take good care of. I want them to be feral and happy. This is the, I don't know, I guess hermaphrodite. I was struggling to find males, and apparently the males don't have very strong genetics anyway. So I got a, what do they call them? Prolific is the name on those ones. They have male and female flowers on them and are capable of pollinating other females. So that was the goal. Kind of same story, it's just, it's not looking very happy. And then this was my other female here, which actually started looking good right at the very end of last summer. And then maybe the hard transition to winter and the hard transition out of winter this year, just, it didn't appreciate it. I thought it was actually completely dead, but it put out just a few leaves kind of sporadically. Ironically, these leaves actually, they look the best out of all of them, but you know, a lot of deadwood on that. So we'll see. I might try some of the Arctic kiwis, which are the even more cold tolerant variety, but I don't know. Not sure how much money I want to try to invest into more kiwis at the moment. Okay, so now we're quite a bit further up the slope, up above the spring. This is actually the area that I have put the most effort into this spring. It was my target area for this spring. I got quite a lot done, but then I did end up, I broke my foot, so that put a damper on things, and I didn't get as much done as I wanted to. But thankfully it wasn't too bad, and 6 weeks later now I'm like 95% back to normal. I wanted to show off these beautiful bastards. So this is mock orange. I think it's Philadelphus or Philadelphius lewisii, one of those, something like that. But they are one of the prettier late spring, early summer shrubs to small trees out here. And this particular one isn't a good example, but it's right next to the road. They are just very showy. You can kind of get a feel for it just with the tip of this branch. And the flowers are not just showy and beautiful, but they are quite pleasantly scented. And, you know, I know this is probably getting a little bit long and rambly, but you can just write a comment down there. Let me know that I'm long-winded and should make shorter videos or whatever. But I also haven't uploaded in like 6 months, so, you know, if you're watching it, hey, maybe you're interested. But yeah, as I was saying, this is the area that I spent a lot of time on, and you can kind of just make out that I cut swales in. And I should probably not swing the camera around so much. But there's several layers. I think I got 3 done. And they go all the way over to the quad road, which dives down that way. You can kind of see the switchback down there. And then just this week, I've been doing some planting down here. Also, just take a look at these maples. That's just phenomenal regrowth. That's one that I actually took the time to thin. I did not get around to thinning them all because, again, hard transition into winter. They still had their leaves when the snows hit. And then hard transition out of winter. There was still snow on the ground for quite a while, and then suddenly the snow was gone and they were already leafing out. So I didn't want to cut back all of them too aggressively because I was worried that I might kill them. But this one seems to have handled it pretty well. So good to get a feel for those things. Tested on 1 or 2 first. Down here, this is fun. My mom gave me a blue spruce that was purchased as like a little Christmas tree in a pot. It kind of like died, and then something also ate it, even though it was dead, so whatever. But I repurposed the planting spot for a apple seedling there, and a black locust from seed. And all along this swale, the swale is actually just a little bit lower. So now I'm standing in the swale here. You can see it's mulched with leaf matter and stuff. There is a whole bunch more black locusts and apple seedlings. If you can make out the green flags, every green flag is a planting location. You can see that I was very much not finished working down here. It's kind of a bummer to leave a big gashed open bit of raw soil like that, but that's what the whole area looked like last spring. So as much of a bummer as it is, I'm going to continue to cut away at that and reshape it, because this was a big old slash pile here that was bulldozed into place and reignited, was bulldozed again, then burned again in the fire. It's been a very hard-pressed area, so it's already not great, but I'll shape it and you know, get things growing in here. You can see I've mulched after I did my cuts. I didn't have a whole lot of mulch, but you know, I used what I could. Oh, here, this is lovely. This is one of the larches that I planted last year. My neighbors kindly gave me 300 western larches because they got tired of planting, I think. That was what they had left over when they got worn out from planting. Or, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just were feeling particularly generous. But planted all of them. Not many survived. I think they said pretty much none of the ones that they did survived. But this area, I planted them pretty thick because I thought it was the best chance that they had of surviving. And it is where quite a few did survive. Here is more locust and apple from seed. Looking pretty good. I would still like to add quite a bit more mulch down here. but I work with what I've got for now. That maple is a monstrosity. I actually had to go in there earlier this week and cut away a bunch of it just so that little larch there could get some light. It's still quite shaded, but it at least gets some light now, has a chance. The larches can grow fast, but yeah, I planted it when that maple was just a burned stump and I wasn't sure it was going to come back at all. So yeah, seeing these swales cut in is nice, especially after a nice heavy downpour that we got last night. Hopefully they are doing their job. Here is another locust that is looking beautiful. That's about, I don't know, it's over a foot tall already. So that started from a little tiny seed. Never quite get over that. Probably can't see it on the video very well, but there's a western larch right there that is looking really healthy. It's taken off, and there are quite a few more of them down here. Again, they're hard to see on video, green against green, but you can see them in person a little bit better. So the plan is to continue to develop this area. I think that the apples and definitely the locusts, I say definitely, but really it's hopefully definitely maybe, something along those lines. Anyway, hopefully they can survive down here without watering on my part. I grew most of them in pots for a while so that they could get, you know, roots at least a foot deep. And then I put them in the ground. And when I put them in the ground, the soil was still fairly moist, even only an inch down before we got this rain after weeks and weeks of none. So with any luck, they will be able to put their roots down and find the water that is down here. Again, we're above the spring. I know there's water in the soil. You know, the maples are surviving here. There's a serviceberry that's looking great. That's a good 6 feet tall already. And then those willows are kind of the crowning jewel of this area so far. They are well over 10 feet tall of regrowth already, and that's almost all from last year. So excited to see how much they are able to do with another growth season. And again, lots of black locust in the ground already. All along here. So the locust, the idea with those is that they will eventually be a really nice renewable firewood supply. And potentially, you know, fence posts, tool handle, lumber, that kind of stuff. And if you need evidence that there is definitely water down here, there's thimbleberries growing right there. There's water. So if those apples are able to reach down and find it, they should do really well. So I was just filming from on this easement road right here and just below it. But I wanted to showcase one last thing. So this whole area above the easement road is this big bowl shape. So this is what's catching all of the water that eventually becomes the spring. And this is my next target area for a lot of effort. I was hoping to be able to start into it this spring. But again, broken foot. Hard to run a shovel on uneven ground with a broken foot. Kind of a bummer. This is another big slash pile here. So that's going to get dug into and laid out into swales on contour. You know, I've probably mentioned that a few times by now. But then I also just wanted to showcase, you can see even at this range, all of those big mock orange bushes coming back and flowering in a big way. So as you walk this path here, it's at the moment just incredibly strong floral smells from the mock orange, as well as, you know, the fireweed is starting to go off all through here. And there's a bunch of, what do you call them? Blanket flower. I can't think of the proper name for them right now. But a bunch of those just started blooming within the last day or so. And then, you know, spirea and yarrow speckled throughout as well. Yeah. So this area still has a lot of potential as well.